All right, so you ready to hop in a mobile suit?
Let's do it.
Today we're going deep, deep into the world of Mobile Suit, Gundam SEED Freedom. Big movie, a lot of hype.
Yeah.
And luckily,
Yeah.
we have a review from MovieKaTicket to help us break it all down.
Very cool.
Now, don't worry if you're not like a Gundam expert.
Right.
We're going to keep this spoiler-free.
Absolutely.
And really focus on what makes this film so interesting, even if you're, just dipping your toes into the Gundam universe for the first time.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that stuck out to me in the review was just the setting. It takes place in C-75, which, for those not familiar with Gundam, that's the futuristic calendar they use.
Gotcha.
And it's just 1 year after the Second Alliance plant war.
Whoa.
So, imagine the world's still kind of reeling, still trying to rebuild, and we get to see how Earth and the space colonies are dealing with the aftermath.
Right. So it's not just like jumping into a random space battle. There's like a whole context.
Exactly. A lot of history that feeds into the story.
I like it.
And of course, at the heart of it all, we have some familiar faces. Kira Yamato and Lacus Klein.
Oh, legends, practically, right?
Pretty much. But their relationship, well, let's just say it's not exactly a walk in the park.
There's some drama there.
Oh, there's some tension.
Ooh, I like it. So it sounds like their personal struggles are tied into all this bigger stuff going on.
Yeah, the review kind of hinted that those two things kind of blend together, and it really adds another layer to the whole thing. It's not just about politics, it's about them too.
I see. So they're not just like figureheads, they're really in the thick of it.
Oh yeah, deeply involved. They're both part of this organization called Compass. Which is all about, keeping the peace, preventing another war.
Right. Trying to hold everything together after everything that's happened. It's like trying to build a house on shaky ground.
Yeah, and the pressure is on. And Lacus is actually the president of this organization.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Kira leads their military forces. So
oh, man.
You can imagine the weight of the world is kind of on their shoulders.
Wow. And that's not even getting into their personal problems. That's got to be tough, man. It's got to be tough. So the review, it really kind of highlighted this contrast, right, between the huge mecha battles and these like smaller, more personal stories.
Absolutely. Yeah. One thing it mentioned was even a hero like Kira is still haunted by, the lives he took during the war.
Oh, wow.
And it forces him to really confront the consequences of his actions.
Right.
The kind of ethical side of being a soldier.
That's really interesting. You don't always see that in these kind of action-heavy films, right? It's like, next battle, next enemy. But to see how the past is affecting them.
Yeah.
That
human element. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And I imagine it's not just Kira, right?
Exactly. Lacus, as president, faces these impossible choices, one wrong move and boom, back to war. The review even compared her situation to real-world leaders, those tough decisions.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. Okay, so we got these characters dealing with some serious stuff, both personal and global.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, you can't talk Gundam without talking about the giant robots.
True. The mecha action.
Yeah, the mecha action. What do they say?
Okay, get ready for some visual fireworks. The reviewer was gushing about the updated CGI and how amazing the mecha designs are.
Sweet.
Especially the transformation sequences for the Rising Freedom and the Immortal Justice Gundams. Breathtaking, they said.
I think they actually compared it to a Michael Bay film, but with more depth.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Substance with the spectacle.
Right. And what about the music?
Oh, the soundtrack apparently is fantastic. It really elevates both the action-packed moments and the more emotional scenes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Pulling you into the whole experience.
So now there was one thing in the review that I'm kind of curious about. They mentioned fan service.
Yeah.
Some people love it. Some people, they find it a bit distracting.
Right.
But overall, do you think this film is good for newcomers?
That's where I'm a little unsure.
Okay.
Like we said, Kira and Lacus are these legendary figures.
Right.
And I think the film kind of assumes you already know their backstory and the whole history of this universe.
That makes sense. It's probably more rewarding for longtime fans then.
Yeah, definitely. But what I find really interesting is how this sci-fi epic really boils down to very human themes. War, peace, leadership. Even personal happiness in the face of all this responsibility.
It's something we can all relate to, right?
Exactly.
So to kind of wrap it all up, It sounds like Mobile Suit Gundam SEED Freedom. It's got the visual spectacle you expect from a Gundam film.
Oh, yeah.
But it also dives into those deeper emotional and ethical questions.
Absolutely. It asks what it really means to rebuild after devastation.
Wow.
And not just for society, but for the individual, too.
It's definitely something to think about. If you do end up watching it, let us know your thoughts. Did it manage to balance those epic and personal moments?
Yeah.
And did it resonate with you on a deeper level, even with all those giant robots flying around?
It's a good question. I'm curious, too.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Take care.